I'm Mayor McKinley Price. We face new and unexpected challenges from the coronavirus. To stop the spread of the virus, Governor Northam closed many businesses and issued a stay-at-home order for residents. This has been extremely difficult, but we have to do our part to flatten the curve. And what we are doing is working. Dr. Julian with the Peninsula Health District is here to share how our efforts are saving lives. Good day, Dr. Julian.
Good morning. Our efforts are saving lives. We have not overwhelmed our healthcare system. The hospitals have capacity. The number of deaths that have occurred in Virginia are much lower than what was predicted originally. And in addition, we are cooperating together to fight this pandemic.
Now is not the time to stop what we're doing. Dr. Julian, what do residents need to do to stay safe?
That's a great question, Mayor Price. I think the things that we can do are that which we have asked and which the citizens are doing very well. First off is washing your hands, extremely important. Personal hygiene in these circumstances will decrease the spread of the disease. If you're ill, please stay home and take care of yourself. If you know that someone else is ill, then stay away from them. Doesn't mean that you can't help them virtually and bring them things and leave things for them, but you should not be around ill persons if you can possibly help it. Another thing that you can do is you can wear a mask in public. It does provide some protection for you, but it will also protect others from any secretions that you have that could be infective. We are learning from this virus that there are a number of people who have the virus, but have very few, if any, symptoms, and they can spread the disease that way.
While many businesses have closed, those that remain open have transformed their operations to protect their employees. And one such business is Newport News Shipbuilding. Newport News Shipbuilding is the sole designer, builder, and refueler of U.S. Navy aircraft carriers and one of two providers of U.S. Navy submarines. With more than 23,000 employees, they are the largest industrial employer in Virginia and the largest shipbuilding company in the United States. Here to share more about what they are doing is Xavier Beal, Vice President of Trades at Newport News Shipbuilding. Welcome, Xavier.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to be here today.
Some people have asked why you haven't closed the shipyard. Please tell us about your decision to remain open and share a bit about the critical mission essential work performed by shipbuilders.
That's an excellent question and one that's posed to us quite often. As you indicated, we are a part and deemed by the Department of Homeland Security as a critical infrastructure industry. Given the mission of our company and what we do for our nation as far as delivering and redelivering the nuclear aircraft carriers that we build and redeliver to the Navy, as well as nuclear-powered submarines, it's not just vitally important to our nation, it's vitally important to the world. Those are visible signs that we're actually delivering freedom. And while our workforce is at the forefront, their safety of everything that we do, we also must maintain our mission-critical work and maintain the continuity of our business.
What measures are you taking to keep shipbuilders safe?
Another excellent question, and one that could not be more timely, as today we recognize and we celebrate Workers' Memorial Day. And we give honor to those employees that have actually lost their lives, become disabled, or otherwise ill in the workplace. So as I indicated, the forefront of everything that we do is our workforce first. The first thing that we did when the governor made his announcement as we walked into and we started this battle with COVID-19 is we actually implemented what we call liberal leave. What that does is that gives our employees the opportunity to make the right decisions for them and their families with respect to coming to work. The second thing that we actually did with that as far as making our workforce safe, the workplace safe for our employees, is we started to develop some really good protocols with respect to cleaning and disinfecting. What that also did for us is we've increased the volume in which we've actually cleaned and disinfected. We've also hired additional resources. We've outsourced some of our cleaning protocols to those that have actually proven in the industry that can come in and help us make our workplace safe, while also affording our full-time staff to focus on what they do each and every day. This is something that when we're looking at, everyone has a social responsibility to play, and it's localized cleaning as well. That means each and every shipbuilder has a responsibility to ensure that their workplace, their tools, their workspaces are actually clean and disinfected on a daily basis as well. So those are a few of the things that we're actually doing. We're also in the process right now of implementing temperature screenings. What those temperature screenings will do is it will identify if we have individuals that are actually meet the threshold that we have identified from a elevated temperature perspective, we will not allow them on our facility. But we also recognize that when you're looking at the non-contact readings that we're going to take, that we may need to do a secondary temperature reading as well. So we've identified various locations throughout the company that if employees actually do not pass our initial screening, we will do a secondary screening that when we're looking at taking some internal temperature readings as well before we deny them access to the facility. So those are a few of the things that we're actually doing to ensure that our workforce is safe during this challenging time.
Mr. Beal, I'm delighted to hear the description of what you are doing. We have had multiple conversations with the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Apostoles, at Newport News Shipbuilding, and I am aware that they are following all the guidelines and processes that are deemed appropriate for this pandemic. Thank you for doing that.
We're extremely resourceful at the shipyard. One of the first things that we did was we went out to our sail loft where we have people that are skilled in those type of activities, and we started taking our own fate into our own hands. And we developed a process where our employees at the company could start producing masks for our employees to keep them safe. While simultaneously, what we did was we looked out into the supply base and started identifying different paths that could provide us masks that would be sustainable. I'm happy to report to this date, we're bringing in thousands of masks a week that we're getting from our supply base. We have a healthy pipeline to sustain throughout this process, and that's being augmented by the work that our shipbuilders are doing in our sail loft. But that's just two of the things that we're doing. Our shipbuilders themselves have actually leaned in and become extremely creative with creating masks themselves at home. We have countless stories of where shipbuilders have actually taken it on in their own hands and created masks for their entire work crews. And we're seeing the creativity of the shipbuilders manifest themselves daily with the masks that they're actually bringing in. And we feature that in our publications. We do a weekly publication at our shipyard. One of the things that we've actually done in this to continue with the high communications is we've actually increased that publication to, we're sending it out twice a week. And when I say all hands are on deck, it's not just the company providing those things, our supply base. Our union has leaned in as well and donated materials to help us make masks to support the workforce. So this is an all hands on deck initiative, and our shipbuilders, as they do time and time again, have risen to the challenge.
Mr. Beal, I'm not a bit surprised, as when this pandemic first started, one of the first phone calls I received was from Newport News Shipbuilding to ask how could they help in addressing the pandemic. And one of the first things that happened was extra personal protective equipment, PPE, that you had available at the shipyard was made available to us at the health department, and we distributed that into the community. So that offering was very timely and very much appreciated. Thank you.
You're definitely welcome.
Newport News Shipbuilding spans more than 550 acres, and work areas include buildings and ships. How can you practice social distancing in your work areas?
Excellent question. And that's when you move from being complicated to complex. As you look at what we're actually doing at Newport News Shipbuilding with more than 25,000 employees along that 550 acres that you indicated, it becomes extremely complex to effectively practice social distancing. So as a company, we have a crisis action plan that we practice, we drill all the time, just like with inclement weather. But as many people, this crisis is one that we've never seen before. So one of the first things that we did was stood up a crisis actions group. And that crisis action group actually went off and looked at how could we maximize social distancing. So of course, just like you see in many of the department stores, grocery stores you go into today, we increase our visual cues to remind people of those things. The other thing that we actually are really excited about that we're going to do is we're transforming our business operations. Today we operate with 3 shifts at our company. We will transition to a 2-shift operation. Many may say that, that seems converse to actually optimizing social distancing. But today, in many of our areas, 80% of our workforce works on our first shift. So by increasing our second shift operation, that affords us an opportunity to spread our employees out. What it also does for us, it's going to give us up to 3.5 hours each shift, in between shifts, to do deeper cleaning. And as I indicated, we've outsourced some of that. So we're going to have some subject matter experts coming in that are going to hit those high contact areas such as handrails, when we're looking at our time clocks, our restrooms, those communal areas, to ensure that we're doing those deep cleaning in between shifts, as well as we're looking at minimizing our overtime opportunities so that we can spend the weekends doing deep cleaning as well. We recognize this will be challenging, but again, our employees' safety is at the forefront of everything that we do. So we want to ensure that we're optimizing as many opportunities as we have to do that while effectively practicing social distancing.
Mr. Beal, I'm delighted to hear the change in the shifts to achieve social distancing. That is one of the major factors that I think has bent the curve downward as we have addressed this virus. I know it's very difficult in some work situations to do so, but I really appreciate your efforts to make this work.
What has been the biggest lesson you've learned up to this point?
As with many things, when you're looking at a cultural transformation, this is becoming our new norm, and it's the constant reinforcement to all shipbuilders that we all have a responsibility in this. As a senior leadership team, our operating rhythm consists of multiple meetings per day to ensure that we're in front and we're aware of the latest changes from CDC, that we're aligned with the things that are happening both on a local and a federal level, and that we're making the best decisions that we can to keep our employees safe, again, while maintaining our mission-critical work that's so important to this nation and to the world. But the biggest challenge and opportunity that we actually have here is a constant reinforcement of the social responsibility that each of us have as citizens of this nation, as humans on this planet, as well as shipbuilders at the shipyard. And that's reminding them and reinforcing that social distancing is our best option here, and that we're making sure that we're effectively managing that social distancing and practicing that social distancing, that we're also being cognizant of the other things when we're looking at time, distance, and shielding when it comes to trying to combat this virus.
What closing message do you want to share with shipbuilders and their families?
Thank you for that opportunity. I'd like to address something that you opened with as to why haven't we closed? I think I talked to that a little earlier with respect to our role on this nation as being a critical infrastructure industry. And what I want to make sure that our shipbuilders, our community understands is that we will not compromise the safety of our employees. We will continuously look at efforts and strategies that we can do to mitigate risk associated with this virus. And one thing that I would ask our employees and our vendors, anyone who's accessing our facility, if you don't feel well, if you feel that you're symptomatic, don't come in. Afford us that opportunity and ensure that you're protecting fellow shipbuilders in that manner. And when you're there, remember your social responsibility, that we've made it mandatory that masks are required when you're in our facility, when you cannot maintain social distancing. So adhere to that and protect your fellow shipbuilders and all that are around you. And I just want to thank you for this opportunity to come here and share a little bit about what we're doing at Newport News. And we will continue our transparent, open, and authentic communication with not only the shipbuilders, but our community at large.
Where can you go to get more information about what the shipyard is doing?
We've actually established a COVID-19 website that's accessible externally, not just for our employees, but for anyone that wants to see what's going on with the company. And again, we believe in transparent communications, and we update that website daily with respect to different activities that are actually occurring at the company, as well as confirmed cases of COVID-19. Additionally, Jennifer Boykins has a externally facing Facebook page that's updated on a daily basis as well. So that's another place that anyone can go to see the latest with respect to how Newport News Shipbuilding is addressing this global threat.
Thank you, Xavier. We appreciate all that the shipyard is doing to keep people safe. And thank you also to our shipbuilders. We appreciate your work and are inspired by the dedication and pride with which you perform your mission-essential jobs. Dr. Julian, a lot of businesses like Riverside Paper Supply are now offering curbside pickup. What kind of precautions do people need to follow to ensure the groceries, supplies, and even takeout food they pick up is sanitary?
Thank you for that question, Mayor Price. I think what people can do is try to keep in mind the 6-foot social distancing. And when that barrier has to be broken, what you need to think about then is what barriers can you put up, both between yourself and the other person and yourself, as you obtain your items. So, for instance, that's a great opportunity to wear a mask. Additionally, this might be one of the best opportunities to wear gloves as you are being handed the materials. Place them in your vehicle, maybe in the back seat or in the trunk of the car or in the back of an SUV would be the best place to place them. I think additionally, when you get the items home, as you transfer them from the external outside of your home environment to your home, it might be wise to transfer the items to containers that you use in your house and immediately throw away the containers in which they came. That would be something that we probably wouldn't normally do, but under these circumstances would be a very good idea. The restaurant business is a tough business, but it is filled with resilient people. And we have seen a number of best practices going on. For instance, to keep patrons safe, reducing the number of individuals in the restaurant. You may remember back when we had less than 10 people at a time when the restaurants were still open to the public for dine-in facilities. Even now, during our current situation, you can see markings on the floors and changes in the physical plant to make it more safe for patrons to enter. Also, the high sanitation that is always practiced in our restaurants in the area is very important and continues to be ongoing and a primary objective of all restaurants to keep the food safe. So that still occurs. And we still have our environmental health management with the Virginia Department of Health inspecting restaurants as needed. I think additionally, you've seen them going to masks, and I think you will see that more and more. The increased availability of curbside service, I think, is something which we can be very thankful that has been developed. I think on the reverse side, for patrons, I think best practices are not to overcrowd the facilities as we go back to opening up. Additionally, cooperating with curbside service is very helpful. And I think being aware in your community of what's going on and who and which facilities are practicing the best ideas will kind of vote with your feet as to restaurants that you want to frequent. And as we go back to opening up sometime in the next few weeks to months, I think those are things to keep in mind. I do think that things will be a little different going forward than they were in the past, and I think we will all, both the restaurants and the patrons, will be much more conscious of keeping sanitary actions within the facilities. And I think that's a good thing going forward. I think lastly, I would say What we all need to do probably more frequently than we have in the past is wash our hands and be very conscious if we are ill ourselves. It's probably not a good time to go out to a restaurant and be out in public. And I think using masks ourselves as we go out in public is another good idea. So I've seen the restaurants in the area really step up and do a very nice job in very difficult circumstances. And so I think in the future we will be back to our favorite places, maybe just in a little bit different manner.
The coronavirus has caused businesses of all types and sizes to change how they operate. Riverside Paper Supply is a family-owned business that has been in the city since 1984. And before the coronavirus, they strictly sold products to other businesses. But when they saw how people were struggling to find the supplies they need, like toilet paper and cleaning items, they began offering drive-up services for the public. Here to share more are J.P. Hill and Jason Banwart. Hello, J.P. and Jason. Tell us about your company.
We're family owned. My dad actually started the business in 1984. Him and another partner began the business. They worked for another paper company prior to starting Riverside. I've been with the company approximately 30 years. And I've done everything from driving trucks to working in the warehouse when I was in high school, and worked in purchasing and things like that. We generally sell food service disposables, janitorial supplies, cleaning equipment. So we do floor machines and vacuums and things like that as well. But our main business is we started in '84 when we started. Our main business was food service disposables. So we do anything from to-go boxes and bags, foil, film, cups, paper plates, as well as Jan-San, with the exception of food and things like that. We've got a great team of people here. We've got some people that actually are still here from the day we began, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, I mean, we started off as a small business and continue to be a small business and love operating in the city of Newport News, and it's been a great place for us to kind of grow.
How did your business operate before the coronavirus?
We've always been on a B2B business model, so we sell to other businesses, municipalities. We sell to the city of Newport News, the Newport News school system, colleges, military, hospitals. And that's kind of always been our business model up until the coronavirus issue. And, we've kind of changed the way we do things due to us being able to keep our employees employed and keep everybody busy and making sure we're not having to lay employees off.
What's changed as a result of COVID-19?
Well, obviously we brought on some new lines. We're selling masks now. We did sell sanitizer before. So we did have that product line. We've broadened that line. So we brought on more different types of sanitizers and different packaging forms, masks, face shields. So obviously we brought on a lot more of those type items. Believe it or not, even a lot more packaging items for to go. Restaurants have moved a lot of their business to go. If they stayed opened or opened back up, we've been pushing a lot of to-go packaging versus just carry out, mainly for carry out. So those lines have either expanded or we brought on new lines to kind of help fight this.
Why did you decide to modify your operations?
We saw a big need for the public when we saw that toilet tissue wasn't available, and we saw towels weren't available, and cleaning compounds weren't available to the general public. We kind of moved to a drive-through system, if you will. We originally called it curbside, but it really is, in fact, a drive-through. The system that we had in-house to ring people out wasn't very user-friendly, if you will. So we went out and bought a Square card reader, a wireless card reader. And it's been, it's enabled us to be able to move cars through fairly quickly. A car will go through the line. our team will take, orders as the cars come through, and they load your car for you. You never even have to get out of the vehicle. And then we wirelessly accept a credit card payment.
How are you keeping your staff safe while providing essential supplies to the public?
We started to bring in a lot of different, PPE items, masks, face shields. We've always had gloves, so we just open up cases of gloves. So we have nitrile gloves for the employees to wear.
We have spray disinfectants we provide to the drivers to spray down the vehicles. We have it all over the offices. Whoever's opening that day, they'll come in the morning, disinfect everything. They do it the night before when they leave as well.
We never have to interact with anyone. We try to get everyone to pay with credit cards, so we're not exchanging cash. We're not exchanging items that may be contaminated. So when the car line comes through, we're holding a reader, extended from our body with a glove, with a mask on. So the person just has to put their card into the slot to read the card. They're in their vehicle. So, that if they want to leave their window up, they can. We've even had people come through, and if they do have cash, they'll put it in the back of their car in an envelope. We'll put the product in the car, grab the envelopes, and then they can go on down the road. So it's safe for us as well as safe for the public. It's a safe way to do business and let them get the products that they need.
I've heard people drive from throughout the region to purchase supplies. What have you heard from your customers?
If we didn't have all that feedback from the public, I don't know, that we would enjoy doing it as much as we do. But I tell you, just to hear the comments that come from people and how expressive they are about how hard they've looked for product or how many different stores they've gone to. And for us to be able to have it available is just, a blessing for all of us.
Do you plan on continuing any of the new practices after things return to normal?
Jason and I have kind of talked about maybe doing something like that and maybe doing it a couple times a month just to have the products out there that, if people want to come through. It might be something that we look at doing later on down the road, but there's definitely been talks about it, yes.
I've heard great things about your staff. How have they responded during this challenging time?
They've, like I said earlier, they've been showing up with a smile. They've been very, very great to have, to deal with the public. We've been getting a lot of phone calls we normally don't get. So our phones ring probably maybe 50 to 100 times a day. And I'd say right now we're probably taking close to 500 to 1,000 calls. It's it was very overwhelming at first. And we've kind of talked through it with everyone and then just kind of become, gotten used to it. And really, like you said earlier, and what we've seen on Facebook and we've heard from people calling in is just how thankful everyone is.
We've even had our local law enforcement and first responders come through the line. Obviously, they're doing their job, so we kind of let them move ahead. They pull through, and when they need stuff or whether they need it for their job or their families, they come through, and we make sure that we take care of them, immediately so they can get back to doing what they do and helping protect everybody.
Yeah, a lot of the restaurants. Another thing I know we want to, we just a lot of these locally owned and operated, and some national companies we work with, we're all going through some tough times, and to hear their stories and them to listen to our story and what we're all going through together is just been it's been really nice to share that and to know that we support one another and we care about each other's businesses, their families, and how they're getting through it. It's just been it's nice to see. It's a tough time, but everyone kind of coming together to try to find a common solution and way to get out of this.
People are very grateful that we've opened the doors. It's been grateful for us too. I mean, it's not just us helping the public; it's us being able to keep our employees. And we have a strong team here, and it's about us bonding together and making sure that we all make it through this thing, together. So it's really been a blessing for us as well. Even being able to help the public. I know people that come through every day and they're saying, God bless you and thank you for doing this. But it's a blessing to us as well, because we're not having to get rid of our employees and we're not having to lose the team that we've taken so many years to build. So it's really been a good, a good thing for everybody.
Thank you, JP and Jason. We are proud you chose to do business in Newport News and are honored to share your story. Your commitment to your employees and your service to our community are inspiring. JP and Jason talked about masks and gloves. When should people wear them?
I think wearing masks and gloves is a very good idea when you are out in the public, and especially in situations where the 6-foot social distancing is nearly impossible to attain. Another great place is for wearing gloves is when you are putting gasoline in your car. One of the most frequent things that we do is fuel our vehicles, and those pumps are used by many, many people. That's a very good circumstances in which to use gloves as you are putting the gasoline in your car. Anytime you're going to be in a closed situation where social distancing is not possible, that's a really good time to wear a mask. If you are going to be taking care of someone who is ill, another excellent time to wear a mask, and also important to use gloves in handling materials that you're having to pass back and forth between an ill person. Those are very good opportunities to keep yourself and others safe by using those devices.
Dr. Julian, what if people don't have hand sanitizer? How effective is that compared to hand washing?
That's a great question, Mr. Mayor. Actually, hand washing is probably better than just using hand sanitizers. Hand sanitizers are to be used when you don't have access to good hand washing facilities. The mechanical activity that occurs when we wash our hands for over 20 seconds with soap and water is extremely important to removing the virus from our hands. And so hand washing is incredibly important, probably the most important thing. Use of hand sanitizer is really a secondary methodology for cleaning our hands. It needs to contain at least 60% alcohol in its contents, and it needs to also be rubbed on thoroughly on the hands, and also needs to be allowed to dry to be effective. So in general, hand washing is the best first thing we can do, and use of hand sanitizers is sort of secondary. The last thing I'll say is that if you have access to neither, that is a good opportunity to use gloves and to get to a place where you can hand sanitize or wash your hands with soap and water as soon as possible. Another thing to think of in those circumstances is that's when it really becomes important to be conscious not to touch your face, nose, mouth, until you can get to an opportunity to clean your hands thoroughly, because that's how we transfer the virus from the environment into our bodies.
JP and Jason talked about hard-to-find supplies, and hand sanitizer is at the top of the list. In Newport News, our business leaders care and take every opportunity to give back. Ironclad Distillery is located on the downtown Newport News waterfront and is known for their bourbon. But when they saw people struggling to find hand sanitizer, they switched up their operations to begin making their own. They are now selling hand sanitizer and also donating it in large quantities to regional nonprofits. We are joined by Kara King with Ironclad Distillery. Welcome, Kara. Tell us about your company.
Okay, thank you. So Ironclad Distillery is my family's business. We're a family-owned distillery, are named after the Battle of the Ironclads, which we would have had a front row seat to during the Civil War. So we only make bourbon. We decided to stick to our guns because we believe that everybody has a bourbon gene in their DNA, and we're definitely carriers. So we just wanted to make one thing well that we really loved. And we have a tasting room. We make everything here on site. We use all Virginia grains in our bourbon, locally sourced from a family farm up in Charles City. We've been open since 2014, and the tasting room is a little over 2 years old, and yeah.
How did your business operate before the coronavirus?
So as I said, we had a tasting room, and we had a lot of visitors come through from all over the United States, even internationally. As far away as Virginia Beach, people used to come and visit us. So they crossed a bridge tunnel, which is huge. And it was really nice because we could share our story individually with our customers and give them distillery tours and show how we make the whole process on how we make our bourbon. And then we distribute to ABC stores. We're in every ABC store in Virginia. But we also had special bottles that we sell out of our distillery bottle shop here. So people could come in and do a tasting and try all the products we have, and then take a bottle home with them.
What's changed as a result of COVID-19?
Well, unfortunately, we had to close our tasting room because you can't have people, more than 10 people at a time. So we were sad about that, but thankfully, Governor Northam changed a lot of laws in our favor. So we're able to do curbside pickup, home delivery, and we're also able to ship our products to anywhere in Virginia. So that's been really, really helpful. And we also had to pivot and start making hand sanitizer, which thankfully we were able to do because we distill hand sanitizer. Basically, I mean, when it comes off the still is very high proof and will kill anything that it touches. So we were fortunate enough to be able to help out the community to be able to make that.
Why did you decide to modify your operations?
So, I mean, when it kind of happened overnight that you had to change your business, but we, realized that we have this amazing opportunity to help the community out and still keep the lights on here. And so we just decided, I think it was a lot of people were doing it, and we thought, what a great idea. So we were able to do it, and we pulled ourselves together and started making it.
How difficult was it to start making hand sanitizer?
So when we started making hand sanitizer, it was a little difficult because the supplies, we make our hand sanitizer according to the World Health Organization formula or guidelines and the CDC and FDA guidelines. So that requires hydrogen peroxide and glycerol to be added to the alcohol. So we were running from pharmacy to pharmacy trying to buy up everything they had. And then they caught on and started eliminating it. So the resources were scarce. So we were, just trying to get as much as we could to, fulfill everybody's needs, especially for first responders. We wanted to have, something in their hands so that they were kept safe. So thankfully, then word got out that all these distilleries were making, hand sanitizer. And so people came together and started getting resources available. And then we ended up partnering with Cashel Spirits, the Vanguard Brew Pub and Distillery in Hampton. So we would go in together on some of the ingredients and materials we needed. So we kind of just helped each other out to find what we needed because they were producing hand sanitizer too. So it takes a village, but we ended up making it work.
How are you keeping your staff safe while staying open?
Well, thankfully we have a lot of hand sanitizer on hand. So we are sanitizing. We have masks that mother-in-laws and neighbors have made for us, and so we're wearing those. We do curbside pickup, so you can just, we call honk for bourbon. So you just pull up outside and honk your horn and we'll come out and keep a safe distance to deliver your products to you. But yeah, we're trying every precautionary, we're washing our hands, we're hand sanitizing, yeah.
What have you heard from your customers?
Well, we were really lucky that Governor Northam moved so quickly and the state moved so quickly to change laws. And everybody's been really happy that they can still get, the products that they like. And we are also able to do cocktails to go now. And people have really been loving that because at this time you could use a good cocktail every once in a while. So yeah, everybody's been really positive, and the products with the hand sanitizer we've donated, it makes me cry every time, that the loving response that we get back, that I'm gonna cry now, that they're so appreciative, and it's just nice to be able to, provide that.
Do you plan on continuing any of the new practices you've started after things return to normal?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the hand sanitizer products we've started to make is actually a partnership with an apothecary from Chesapeake called True North Apothecary. And the woman who runs it, she came to me the day after we had to shut down and said, "Do you know that I make hand sanitizer and I have for 7 years?" She has an Etsy website that she sells, essential oils and moisturizers and things like that. But she also has a hand sanitizer. So we gave her the alcohol to use, and then she makes it according to her, the way she makes it. She puts positively charged crystals in there to promote good vibrations and positivity. And she also adds essential oils, so it smells really, really nice. Unlike the bulk stuff that we make, which just smells like alcohol. So I think we are going to continue that partnership because it's really been lovely, and it's nice to work with a friend and help her out. And yeah, people have loved the scent, and it's keeping them safe. So we might continue to do that.
What have you learned over the past several months?
We're blessed that we're able to keep our lights on while still helping the community. It's been a really, what really amazes me is how people come just for hand sanitizer who've never, experienced our products or ever been here. And then they buy a bottle of bourbon just to support us. That's been like one of the best things that I've ever seen. So just the community support has been awesome. I mean, it's just, it's nice. It's been, sorry, it's just been a lovely, just to see the kindness of people, and I pretty much tears are coming out of my eyeballs all the time, just on people's kindness and their support, and how much, they do care about local and community, and this whole thing has shown that, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I don't know how long this is going to last, but we hope when we reopen, you can come visit us in our tasting room. We just launched a online series that we'll be posting if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, called Drinking Responsibly History. So the community we had in the tasting room was so awesome because we would share stories, and I always say nothing pairs better with bourbon than a good story. So we have friends and acquaintances that are coming in to tell just a funny little story to add some levity to these dark times. So if you follow us, you can see some good stories and have a laugh, and pour yourself a glass of whatever you'd like and sit back and enjoy.
Thanks, Kara. You all are doing great work.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you guys covering us.
And according to the CDC, the COVID-19 virus has not been detected in tap water. Thankfully, the procedures Newport News Waterworks has in place to protect your water quality are effective and keep it safe from viruses. For more information on this, visit nnva.gov. Dr. Julian, what insight can you provide about reopening of businesses?
Reopening of businesses is something that we will come to in the near future, I hope. Everyone has done a very nice job of social distancing and following the governor's orders to stay in place. I am aware that there are multiple task force groups working at the state and local level to plan for reopening. We have to do this in a very careful manner, a very considered manner. I think the governor said it well this past week in his press conference, in that this is not going to be like turning on a light switch. This is something that we're going to have to do in a staged fashion. It is going to need to be coordinated with our testing capability, and everybody needs to try to be as patient as possible. I think everyone at the VDH, everyone in the state government wants to reopen our economy and get back to work and get back in business as quickly as possible. But we all realize that we have to do this very carefully in this time. It will be staged and planned, and I would encourage everyone to watch the governor's press conferences. They are 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, usually around 2 p.m. You will get a lot of information there and guidelines as to how leaders in both the business and governmental communities will go about this in a safe manner for the public. At the end of the day, we will need the public's support and cooperation, because that's the only way in which this can be done safely. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and have this conversation today.
We've shared stories of businesses transforming themselves to keep people employed while meeting a vital need. Even the city has changed how we operate. As everyone knows, city offices, facilities, and buildings are closed to the public. Essential services are continuing and city employees are still working, although many are now teleworking. We have also created a recovery planning team to discuss the phased reopening of facilities and offices. While the coronavirus has caused many challenges, it has also given business the opportunity to be creative on how to serve the public. In Newport News, we had to temporarily close the Four Oaks Day Service Center for the homeless due to Governor Northam's executive order. Services to this population didn't stop though. Twice a day, 7 days a week, regardless of the weather, our team travels throughout the city delivering food and supplies to places that we know homeless individuals congregate and find shelter. In addition to food, we deliver hand sanitizer, soap, sleeping bags, blankets, and more with the support of our nonprofit partners. We also connect people with medical providers and work with local healthcare organizations to provide screenings on an as-needed basis. And even though the Four Oaks is closed, we set up mobile showers and laundry services at the facility to serve people twice a week. They say that adversity is one of the most powerful forces in life. It can bring out your best or your worst. I am proud to say I've seen the best in our community. The changes we've made are working. We are flattening the curve. We now need to keep it up. This won't last forever, but we must continue what we are doing. If you have health-related questions, you can call the Virginia Department of Health's COVID-19 hotline at 757-594-7069. You can also call the city's 311 center with general questions at 757-933-2311. We are in this together, and we will get through this together. Stay at home and be patient. Take care of yourselves, and remember that everything you are doing is keeping our families and neighborhoods healthy and safe. Thank you.